Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. I'm not sure if anybody's joining me, but if you look at this later, you can post what you might have found useful or other ideas for movement. I'm going to begin to do some of these regularly because it's just who I am and how I like to be in the world is having dance and movement in my life most days. Well, every day, really. Um, and I'm here to show you different options of moving throughout your day. But today we're going to focus on moving with a potential pain site or an injury site and how we might go about incorporating movement in that experience. Movement has been such a blessing in my life, and I want to continue to impart this incredible beauty of what these experiences continue to offer me and continue to offer others who I work with. So I'll wait a few more minutes to see if anybody wants to join live, but if not, I will go ahead and offer an experiential, and perhaps later in the day at your own convenience, you may choose to follow the experiential. This is a new way of offering something online for me. It's kind of unusual not to have feedback from others, but I'm willing to give it a go. And if there's particular times that work well for you, let me know, because I have kind of what I would call a very unusual schedule. So while I don't want to accommodate my nighttime hours in terms of, when I'm asleep, I can definitely offer, a variety of times to join in. I'm on Guam time, and so today is Tuesday morning for me. In Australia, it's also morning as well. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start, and it will be a relatively short experiential, but I just want to kind of show you what's possible when you have an injury and you want to move with it, around it, through it, however you want to describe it. So, as some of you know, I recently, about more than, I think it's 5 weeks ago today, I slipped on a wet driveway and really smashed my arm down, and I did have to have surgery then put in. And I've had this plaster on now for 4 weeks plus, and fortunately, I get it off tomorrow. So that's why I decided to do this little experiential today. So I'm going to start sitting. You're welcome to start lying on the floor or sitting in a chair even, whatever makes you comfortable, especially if you're coping with some kind of injury or you're coping with some kind of pain. Oh, hi Hannah, you're so sweet to come. Anyway, so as you see, I've got this plaster. And one of the things that I do when I've injured myself is I know we all feel more protective of this body part. So in the beginning, I felt like I needed to raise it like here. And every day I would do some experientials like on the floor, I would do an arm circle to really, see where I was in that moment. I often had to use the other hand to support it. So if you have a place in your body right now that's struggling, or you feel a little bit of pain, or you feel a little bit discomfort, or maybe you have an injury like my injury. Fortunately, there's a difference between chronic and acute injuries. So the first thing I suggest is, perhaps you just hold that part of your body, or you just bring in some touch to just acknowledge it, appreciate it, and just feel what it's like. For me, it's very difficult to have plaster on where I can't tactily feel my arm. But as I went along exploring, I did start to learn to tense and release. So that's another thing you can do. So perhaps you start just by really feeling into that area of the body, touching it, noticing what the sensations are. You can keep your eyes closed or open your eyes, but just know that you can do as little or as much as you want. And if you want help or you find some things challenging, then you don't have to do it, or you just might find somebody close to you who you can talk to about your experience. So I just want you to know that there's support for yourself, and to know what your supports are. So you see, I'm just giving myself a little bit of a massage in this area. It's kind of crazy. I might do that tense release thing again. So just give yourself a moment to really honor that there's been an injury here, and acknowledge that yes, there's perhaps some pain or discomfort, and how can I move with this? So after you just allow yourself some time to touch, to perhaps really hold, appreciate that every body part can give us a message, but you don't have to receive a message today. So just allow yourself that acknowledgement of where it feels discomfort in the body. And then one of the things that helped me is I took the other body part, my other hand, and started to move that arm. I remember the first time my massage therapist gave me a little pull in that hand after I had plaster on. It was really odd feeling. I suppose it's very useful to have given birth naturally to build up tolerance toward physical discomfort and also to have had other experiences of moving with discomfort. So one of the things I might do is just try to use that other hand to move that body part. So you could take a hand if you have a place in your back or your side or some in your shoulder. You could just put your hand there and just assist it a little bit with massage, assist it a little bit with movement. Because I've been living with this for quite some time, I have a lot more movement than I did. But another option to do also is to stabilize the part that has discomfort. And of course, I'm going to use a pillow because this is the pillow I carry around with me when I go out of the house. So one of the discoveries I've made in my movement work is just to stabilize that place with injury. Maybe you put more, I don't need as much comfort right now, but maybe you put a little bit of comfort on it. And then you can just stabilize that body part and move around it. So because I've done a lot of movement and dance and love to roll on the floor, which you may not feel comfortable with, that is just perfectly fine. You could sit and stabilize in a chair and just move around it. But you can see that I'm trying to go through all my joints that are not injured and find some movement. And often moving with a one body part stabilizing like this offers a creative option. You become quite clever. I've done this before when I had a plaster on my ankle once, when I had a sprained ankle. So I find the challenge of finding the creative ways of moving. So that's one other idea, just stabilizing that part. The other is stabilizing the rest of your body and just moving that area. You want to use a lot of slowness, especially if there's an injury, and you never want to push yourself too hard. So for instance, if your range is this small, just give yourself that range. So you stabilize the rest of your body and you try to move the rest of your body. Because one of the things that was challenging for me is my thumb was really painful. So I continued to massage it and, give a little pull in the fingers. And that was really helpful. So that's another thing you can do. Of course, I'm rocking now. Is you can stabilize the rest of your body and just move the site, the area that has more limitation. And you really want to, I like to use the word body hold. You really want to feel it fully in your body. Noticing sensation, noticing how you notice. Hi, Sarah. Oh my gosh, 2 people. I'm so excited. Anyway, so then after a while, you might notice that you're able to do quite a bit of moving. And I took about a week off, and then I started teaching yoga. And my yoga students couldn't quite believe I was coming in with this plaster on. But after a while, what happens is the plaster just becomes integrated in the sense that the weight of it feels much lighter than it was when I first got it on. In fact, Steve thought it was quite funny that when I came out of surgery, I was going, my forearm is crushed. So the other thing is not to lose your sense of humor. We all need our sense of humor. So once you can move it just gently, you can perhaps add more movement. Now I'm doing more movement because I can actually do a lot more movement than when I first had the injury. I'm just more aware that I lose a little articulation in that wrist joint, although I can still articulate through the fingers, through the elbow, and through the shoulder joints. So now that I am more able to move, and you may not be, you may need to just keep that very small range of movement. But you can also do a little bit of feeding from the core of your movement from the distal points to the core, if that helps. You can bring that injured area. Hi, Gandalf, here he comes. No, I don't want you scratching. So you can really extend that body part, and then you can bring it really close to the center. Bringing things close to the center is very nourishing. And so you can bring it out. You bring it in. I've got 3 people. I'm so excited. So you can really use what I call what are called the Bartenia movement patterns in your movement exploration, if you're familiar with them. So this one's called core distal. Making sure that you're always aware that your breath is moving in your body as you experience this. So I've given you a few ideas of how to move around an injury. Perhaps you will discover your own, because this is what's so wonderful about the creativity that comes with moving and dancing your body, is that we come up with a new idea, or we get a little bit bored with the phrase that we're doing, and so something new might arise because we've done that phrase so many times. So you can see I'm just trying to get into the fluidity, so that's another thing, is using that bound and free flow. You could really bring it in, find it, give it that real closeness, like I was showing you earlier about really engaging the muscle and then releasing it, and engaging that muscle and that, and releasing it. And I suppose in a few weeks' time I'll be able to show what progress I've made or not, because this is actually the worst fracture I've ever had in my whole life. So I'll be curious about how I'm healing it. So however you're moving at the moment, we're going to slowly end this process. Hey, Ori, thanks for joining. So just going to take the next few minutes to let you just see how that spot wants to move, that injury. So remember that we started with just really holding, honoring the spot. Then we perhaps used another part to move that body part. Then we did a bit of stability on my pillow to show that we can stabilize the injury and move around the injury. So show that you could stabilize the whole body and just start to gently move the injured part of the body. Because remember, it's all about trying to get as much blood flow as you can into the injured area. The body is a real miraculous organism. I wanted to use the right word. It's a real incredible organism. So just take the next few minutes to do whatever your body is suggesting that you do. It could be that you need to rest. We always need to find recuperation. It could be that you want to move with more vigor. Of course, I can do that now, but in the beginning, I had to actually move my arm like this a lot. So you want to take your time, take good care of yourself, and know that even with injuries, sometimes you need to rest, but then sometimes you need to find that vitality again. So just take a few minutes to finish that process. I love to just bring my hands, like I do in authentic movement practice, onto my heart. And then we do a little bit of sprouting, which means we open up and honor the community around us, all that holds us in this space, all that supports us, and then we bring it back into ourselves. So that's one way that I like to end. You might find your own. But feel free to do what you need. If you need to do a little bit of writing or art process, please feel free to do that. And you can always send me a message or an email or just a comment on this video of what worked for you, what didn't work for you, other areas you'd like to explore in movement. Because I have a lot of plans, like moving in a doorway. How can a doorway support you in getting a few movement stretches going? Because, you know, we have all these props in our house. How we can do it in the kitchen, you know. We can use the kitchen bench to, you know, do an arm stretch or, you know, a leg stretch. So just how can we incorporate more opportunities to move in our bodies throughout the day? So thank you all for joining me. I feel very privileged to have you here. And again, feel free to message me if there's anything else you'd like to know about the services I offer. So much deep gratitude. Thank you.